When we look at the sky energies this week, well, imagine waking up, brewing your coffee, looking out the window, and just realizing the last 7 years of your life were basically just a prelude, like a waiting room.
Oh, wow, yes. A waiting room is the perfect way to describe it.
Right. And that is exactly what the sky is indicating for you this week, my dear Gemini, as the cosmos makes this huge shift that it hasn't made in, nearly a century.
It gives me actual chills just thinking about the magnitude of it. We are really looking at a fundamental restructuring of the whole astrological architecture here.
I am practically vibrating. Hello, my nice-hearted listener. You know exactly how we Geminis are. We're endlessly curious. Our minds are running at like 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Oh, absolutely. The speed is incredible.
Yeah, and we get incredibly impatient if the universe tries to put us on hold for even a second. So I promise you, we're skipping all the fluff today.
We have to. There's just too much ground to cover.
Exactly. We are unpacking the April 20th to 26th, 2026 cosmic weather. And my honeys, it is a massive system-wide reset.
It truly, truly is. But, to understand the heights of this brilliant new era, we really have to examine the foundations first.
Ugh, the foundations. Always the hard part.
Well, yeah, because right now the cosmos is demanding a massive structural inspection, specifically in the realm of your alliances.
Oh boy, the 11th house drama. Okay, let's unpack this mechanics of this, because I know my honeys are feeling an intense, almost like suffocating pressure in their social circles right now. What is physically happening up in the sky to cause this?
So we have an incredibly rare and heavy conjunction happening in Aries right now.
Wait, remind everyone what a conjunction is again?
Sure. So a conjunction is when two planets occupy the exact same degree in the sky. So they're basically blending their energies together. And right now we have Mars and Saturn sitting directly on top of each other.
Vix.
Yeah. And this pressure cooker is happening right in the listener's 11th house.
Now, in traditional astrology, the 11th house isn't just, quote-unquote friends, right? It's the house of the collective, your benefactors, and those big long-term visionary hopes.
Exactly, yeah. It is the sector of the groups you align with to build your future. And let's just look at the planetary archetypes crashing into each other here. Mars is the planet of thrust, velocity, and aggression. It just wants to launch.
Right, it's the gas pedal.
Yes. And Saturn is the planet of rings, boundaries, restriction, and harsh reality checks.
So it is quite literally the astrological equivalent of slamming your foot on the gas pedal and the emergency brake at the exact same time.
Literally.
The friction must be just unbelievable.
The friction is bringing the engine out, honestly. And then if you add Mercury to this mix, the planet of communication, what we get is this explosive realization about the people around you.
Oh, the tea is spilling.
Exactly. The listener is likely looking at their social network and experiencing a profound, almost painful clarity. Like they are recognizing the faulty wiring in their social grid, the fake friends, or the groups that just take their brilliant Gemini energy but never actually reciprocate.
Right? It's like realizing you've been running this massive high-voltage power surge through totally outdated, corroded wiring. You just blow a fuse. The system shuts down.
That is exactly what it feels like.
But you know us. We are nice-hearted. We feel so guilty when we stop supplying power to people who rely on us, even if they completely drain us.
Yeah.
Why is the guilt hitting so hard right now for our Gemini?
Well, that's because the sun has just moved into Taurus, which lights up Gemini's 12th house.
Oh, the 12th house. The sneaky one.
Right. It's the realm of the subconscious, hidden fears, and self-undoing. So the light of the sun is exposing this really uncomfortable truth. You've been keeping these draining connections around because you feared the empty space they would leave behind.
Wow.
You've kind of been complicit in your own energy drain.
Ouch. That is a sharp reality check, but so necessary.
It really is. It is the final wear and tear of Uranus finishing its transit in Taurus. The universe is basically saying you can no longer afford to power a grid that doesn't serve you. Setting a boundary here isn't an act of cruelty, it's a structural necessity.
I love that, a structural necessity.
Yeah, like if a circuit is faulty, you cut the power. You leave the toxic connections in the dark.
Cut the power, my dears. Just clean out the closet.
Yeah.
Because you simply cannot fit fabulous new designer outfits into a closet stuffed with, moth-eaten, itchy sweaters.
Oh, I love that analogy so much.
Right. And here is the beautiful law of physics, nature of horrors of vacuum. When you deliberately cut the power to those faulty, draining circuits in your 11th house, you create this enormous energetic void. And what is the universe going to fill that void with?
Lightning. Absolute. Pure lightning.
Friday. Oh my gosh, we have to talk about Friday because the relational magnetism is about to go completely off the charts.
It is going to be wildly unpredictable, I can tell you that. On Friday, we have a conjunction between Venus, the planet of attraction, romance, and what we value, and Uranus, the great awakener.
The planet of electricity, sudden shocks, and rebellion.
Yes, and the detail that absolutely fascinates me is where they are meeting. They are conjunct at the 29th degree of Taurus.
The 29th degree. Okay, explain the mechanics of that 29th degree for the listener, because it's not just a regular alignment. It's like a threshold, isn't it?
Oh, it's a huge threshold. The 29th degree is the very last degree of any zodiac sign before a planet crosses the border into the next. In astrological mechanics, it is known as a karmic completion point.
Wow, a karmic completion point.
Yeah, imagine a senior in the final week of high school. There is this frantic, urgent, almost desperate energy to get everything done or to go out with a massive bang. So when Venus and Uranus meet at this urgent degree, the element of surprise is amplified tenfold.
So this isn't just a casual, hey, how are you text. This is the shock email, the phone call out of nowhere, the old flame suddenly appearing on your screen at 11 p.m. on a Friday.
Exactly. I mean, Uranus rules technology and sudden disruptions. It's the olive branch from someone you had a falling out with, or a blast from the past that you swore you had permanently disconnected from.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because I have to push back here.
Oh, please do.
We just told our listener to cut the power to faulty wiring, right? If Uranus is electricity, isn't answering a sudden, frantic 29-degree text from an experience basically the emotional equivalent of sticking a metal fork in a toaster?
Huh. That is a brilliant way to phrase it, honestly. And it brings us to the shift that happens mere hours later.
Yeah.
Because right after this shock, Venus moves out of Taurus and crosses the border directly into Gemini.
Oh, yes.
It joins the moon right in your own sign.
The ultimate home court advantage, my honeys.
Precisely. When Venus enters Gemini, you hold all the energetic cards, your charisma, your wit, your natural magnetism. It becomes practically impossible to ignore. People are simply captivated by you.
So Hortatius.
Extremely. So if you choose to reply to that text, you aren't doing it from a place of desperation anymore. You are doing it because it amuses you. But there's a catch.
There's always a catch, isn't there? The quarter moon in Leo. Let's talk about the geometry of that, because quarter moon isn't exactly a relaxed phase.
No, not at all. A quarter moon is an exact 90-degree angle, a square, between the sun and the moon. Geometrically and astrologically, a square represents an intersection where two forces refuse to yield.
So it's tense.
Very. It creates tension, and it requires action. With the moon in Leo, the archetype we are dealing with is pride, ego, and the intense need to be the star of the show.
So, my dear Gemini, while you were feeling incredibly magnetic and flirtatious, your ego might flare up, right? If that text comes through, the tension of the Leo square might make you want to reply just to prove a point, or to have the last word and feed your pride.
Exactly. That is the trap right there. Don't engage just to win an ego battle. If the person reaching out was part of that faulty 11th house wiring we discussed, leave them on read.
Leave them on read, yeah.
Protect your newly cleansed grid.
Your peace is far more valuable than a momentary ego boost.
Keep your peace. Because honestly, when your personal magnetism peaks the way it is about to, it doesn't just stay in your romantic life. It spills over into your professional capital too. You become impossible to ignore at work. Oh, the professional and financial sectors are undergoing a profound recalibration this week. We are talking about a true rising from the ashes sequence in the career sector.
So what does this all mean? What is driving this professional rebirth?
It's really the culmination of you setting those boundaries earlier. When you stop giving your brilliant ideas away to groups or colleagues who don't credit you, you reclaim your intellectual property.
I love that. Reclaiming your intellectual property.
Yeah, and the astrological weather right now heavily supports you stepping into authority. If you want to launch a new business, finalize a certification, or finally pitch that unorthodox idea you've been sitting on, the path is clearing.
But the path isn't entirely smooth, is it? I mean, we promised to give you the whole truth, my honeys. And the reality of Uranus finishing its transit in your financial sectors means we have to look out for grid fluctuations.
We do, unfortunately. While the long-term career trajectory is incredibly lucky, largely because Jupiter, the planet of expansion and serendipity, is blessing your fifth house of creativity and risk until late June, the short-term financial picture is, well, it's volatile.
Volatile. That's a scary word.
Sudden, heavy money outflows are highly probable this week.
Sudden outflows. So we are talking about the unexpected tax bill, the car transmission suddenly failing, the roof springing a leak out of nowhere.
Yes. Uranus is erratic like that. But there is also a psychological component here that we really must address. The sudden outflows might not just be external accidents. They could be internally driven.
Okay, wait, explain that. Are you saying we might sabotage our own wallets?
Let's talk about karmic economics for a second.
Ooh, karmic economics.
When Uranus shakes up your foundation and demands that you change your identity, it creates a subtle, underlying existential panic. Often, to self-soothe that panic, we engage in impulsive spending. We think, everything is changing, I feel out of control. But buying this expensive new wardrobe or this high-end espresso machine gives me a temporary feeling of control and excitement.
Oh my goodness, you were reading our Gemini minds. We are so prone to that. We get anxious, we discover a new hobby, and suddenly we've dropped hundreds of dollars on supplies we'll just abandon in a week.
Which is exactly why the North Node is so critical right now.
Right.
The North Node isn't a planet, it's a mathematical point in the sky that represents our karmic path, our true north. Right now, it is demanding that you tune into your deepest instincts before swiping that card.
So when the urge to impulse buy hits, how do we distinguish between an instinct that serves our true north and a panic buy trying to self-soothe?
Well, a panic buy feels urgent, frantic, and is usually driven by a desire to escape the present moment. A true instinct, on the other hand, feels grounded, calm, and aligns with the empire you are trying to build.
Wow, that's such a good distinction.
So when a sudden expense arises this week, just pause. If it's a broken transmission, pay it calmly. It's just the cost of operating in the physical world. But if it's an impulse buy to numb your nervous system, put the credit card in the freezer.
Build the empire. Don't blow the capital on distractions, my dears. And speaking of the physical world, we really need to make sure your nervous system is grounded because we have to talk about the physical vessel that is going to carry you into this next epoch.
Yes, the health warning is paramount this week. The incredible planetary friction we discussed earlier has real-world physiological implications.
We are looking at that Mars and Saturn conjunction again, aren't we?
We are. In medical astrology, Mars governs the blood, the muscles, and acute accidents, things that happen quickly. Saturn governs the skeletal system, the bones, the teeth, and the joints.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, when you put the planet of high-speed collisions on top of the planet of rigid bones, the physical body becomes highly vulnerable to impact.
Meaning bone fractures, sprains, or sudden physical injuries. This is the universe telling you that when velocity meets an immovable object, well, the object breaks.
Precisely. So this is not the week for extreme sports, okay? Be incredibly mindful of your surroundings. Watch your step. Don't rush through physical tasks. And intentionally slow your bodily movements down.
Look both ways. Protect your beautiful vessel. Because you absolutely must be in perfect shape to step into the milestone event, the main event, the overarching narrative of the decade.
Uranus is finally formally entering Gemini. And due to its 84-year orbit around the sun, it spends roughly 7 years in each sign. So this is the dawn of a 7-year era.
7 years. I mean, I can't even fathom it.
It is the defining transit of this decade for the listener. For the last 7 years, Uranus has been transiting Taurus, which sits in Gemini's 12th house, the house of the hidden, the subconscious, the background. It has been working behind the scenes, dismantling your old psychological baggage. But now, it crosses the ascendant. It enters the first house of self.
It is stepping out of the shadows and directly onto the center stage of your identity. Goosebumps.
It is a radical, unapologetic reset. But early in the week, before the grand entrance, we have the sun making a square to Pluto. Pluto is the planet of absolute transformation, power struggles, and the underworld.
And since it's a square, there's that tension again, that refusal to yield.
Exactly. This square will likely manifest as a temporary boiling frustration, a feeling of profound injustice. You might look at the obstacles in your path and think, why is this so incredibly hard right now?
But I want to reframe that frustration for my nice-hearted listener. That pressure. That is just the final shedding of the old skin. It is the intense muscle contraction before the butterfly breaks out of the chrysalis.
That is the perfect biological metaphor. The pressure is required to pump the fluid into the wing so you can finally fly. Once Uranus settles into your sign, it is going to demand absolute authenticity.
No more faking it.
None. It will strip away every societal expectation you have been contorting yourself to fit into. You are going to be asked to embrace the most eccentric, brilliant, quirky version of yourself.
But hold on. I have to challenge this brilliant rebirth framing for a second.
Mm-hmm.
We've established that Uranus is the planet of sudden shocks erratic behavior, and revolution.
Yeah.
It shatters things.
He does.
So why are we acting like this is a glittering, joyful parade and not a terrifying, chaotic identity crisis? We Geminis are prone to nervous energy as it is. Aren't we just going to burn out under all this erratic voltage?
That is a phenomenal question, and the answer is it is only a crisis if you resist the shatter.
Wow, okay, explain that.
The chaos of Uranus only damages you when you try to cling to the old structures that it is trying to dismantle. If you try to hold on to the old wiring, you get burned by the surge. The secret to surviving and mastering Uranus in your own first house is ultimate flexibility.
So we just have to go with it.
You have to ride the lightning, not try to catch it in a bottle.
Yeah.
If you wake up one morning and realize you want to completely overhaul your personal style, change your career path, or adopt a radically new life philosophy, you have to let it happen. You become the lightning rod, and in doing so, you illuminate the entire city.
Become the lightning rod. That is so incredibly empowering. If you let the current flow through you without resisting, you don't burn out, you light up the world.
Exactly. Burnout is the result of friction between who you are becoming and who you are forcing yourself to remain. Drop the resistance.
Drop the resistance, my honeys. What an absolutely breathtaking week ahead for you. Just to pull all these cosmic threads together, you are identifying the blown fuses and cutting the power to toxic, draining friendships.
Yes, clean that closet.
You are creating a vacuum that will draw in shock messages from the past. But with Venus in your sign, you are the one holding the ultimate magnetic power. You are dodging karmic panic spending, protecting your physical vessel, and stepping out of the waiting room into a 7-year era of pure, unfiltered, authentic brilliance.
It is a profound week of liberation. And as we conclude, I want to leave the listener with one final philosophical thought to mull over as they navigate these lightning strikes. We spent a lot of time analyzing those sudden 29-degree surprise texts from the past.
A blast from the past. Yeah.
But consider this. What if the biggest surprise this week isn't who reaches out to you out of the blue? What if the true shock is the realization of how completely indifferent you are to them now?
Oh.
You might look at your phone, see a name that used to send your nervous system into overdrive, and feel absolutely nothing because your frequency has evolved so far beyond them.
Oh my goodness. The indifference is the ultimate power move. It's the realization that you simply don't operate on that old grid anymore. You are vibrating on a completely different frequency. I absolutely love that.
It is the quietest, most powerful revolution you can experience.
A quiet revolution for a loud, brilliant new era. Next week, your Gemini is waiting for big surprises as we track this new energy. To make sure you don't miss a single moment of this journey, don't forget to subscribe to our channel called What Do Stars Say?
Yes, please do.
And if you liked our weekly horoscope interpretation, don't forget to like it. Don't be shy to share your comment with us. We want to know exactly who sent you that shock text and how good it felt to leave them on read. Sending you so much love and sparkling high-voltage energy.
Goodbye, everyone. Trust your instincts and enjoy the beautiful transformation.
Drop the resistance, my dears, and fly. Goodbye.